this one in particular is like, you can't get this wrong. This is too big an outreach project.
That's exactly what it is. It is the comics industry outreach project for the end of 2022.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Welcome to the ceremonial Chicago edition of Contest of Challengers.
I don't understand that.
Do you know what episode number it is?
Is it 606?
There you go.
That's good. That's good. It's funny.
Thanks. This is episode 606. You know, like the Bloomingdale Trail, or like the first three letters, or numbers, that is, of every Chicago zip code?
It's true.
I am your still ill host, Patrick Brower.
And I am the slightly recovering co-host, W. Dal Bush.
Since last week, where I was diagnosed with an ear infection, my ears have closed off. And
that's despite me running to Walgreens to pick up medication for you.
Yeah, antibiotics, yeah.
Live on the podcast.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. You did get the antibiotics, which I've been taking regularly.
Yes.
So it's cleared up the infection, but there's fluid trapped in there that has closed off both ears.
Right.
So I have a very difficult time hearing.
I assume.
The number of times this week I've had to say to my coworkers and to people in the store, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Or what did you say? I was dealing with a child who'd said, I thought they said, so what kind of stuff are you into? And I said, literally everything in the store. Wait, what did you ask me? Because then I thought it could have been, what are you listening to?
Literally everything in the store.
And no, they had said, what are you into?
Okay, good.
And then they followed up with, do you know where my dad went? Yes, I do know where your dad went.
Also, why are you shouting at me?
Yeah, I don't think I'm shouting.
You're not.
But, you know, everything is just, my head is just like, I constantly hear ringing like tinnitus.
Sure.
Or if you pronounce it tinnitus, either way.
Tinnitus, I think, is how I always heard it pronounced.
Sure, but I've heard people mispronounce it tinnitus.
Okay, well, that's bad. They should stop doing that.
Tamagotchi. Who knows? No, really, there's one way. There's one right way. Tamago is how I would always pronounce my favorite sushi, but it's tamago, which is egg sushi.
Okay.
Which I bet I can't have anymore.
I wonder.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder.
Not because my ears are clogged up, but anyway. Yeah, so if anybody has any surefire ear opening remedies, I have been buying over-the-counter drops. The first ones, which were to manage pain, blocked them even more. That was a week or so ago.
Sure.
And the more recent ones are just basically isopropyl with a little bit of glycerin to dry everything out. One of the remedies I read on the internet was to get a hair dryer at a low setting, hold it about a foot away, and just blast it at your ear.
Interesting.
You know, try to dry it out. Try to dry out all that fluid, whatever it is in there.
Sure.
So yeah, it's very awkward. Very awkward for me to have gone to see Sigrid this week.
Yes.
I didn't not want to go, even though I knew I wouldn't be able to hear most of it, and I did. I heard none of the stage banter.
It would have been nice if she had rescheduled for a
I
night
know.
that you could actually hear her.
I know.
Seems rude. A little mercenary.
Gina had asked if I wanted to go see Nope tonight because she's going to see it for the second time.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I do want to see it, but I can't hear it.
Did they bring it back to theaters for spooky season?
Maybe.
Okay.
All I know is that it's in theaters now.
Okay.
She was wearing a Nope shirt today.
Neat.
And she's like, yeah, the first time I saw it, there was stuff I couldn't hear, so you'll be at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah.
So I had to say, I can't do it until I'm ready. The Divorce Gun Christmas song is ready for the vocals. Everything is all set, but we have to push it back until...
You can hear and sing?
Yeah, because I have no idea what key I'm in, because
Right.
I can't hear myself. At a few points during the Sigrid show, I could hear myself. I'm like, nope, that's the wrong key.
Uh-huh.
Can't tell. But anyway, you don't need ears to read comics.
You don't. That's actually true.
You need money, and a lot of it, because there's so many books out
a lot of
all the
comic
time,
books.
and so many covers. One of the things I wanted to bring up right away was something I read today in an email from DC Comics, which you may have heard that Molly Jane's Book of the Year is coming out in December.
Batman Spawn.
Batman Spawn. And there's...
She won't stop talking about it. Like, she's pitching it to everybody
I
who
mean,
comes in.
that's the only reason I'm happy I can't hear right now.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. If anybody's wondering how I'm able to respond to Dal, it's because he's signing at the same time directly at me. And since I know sign language, I can follow along.
Yeah.
Although it's annoying because he keeps holding a hand up over his lips, so I can't lip read.
I'm considerate and also inconsiderate at the same time. Multitudes.
Your layers. Your layers of consideration. So anyway, they released more of the Spawn covers today.
They did 3 weeks before FOCs, and
Yeah.
well after the initial orders have gone out, and we've been pitching the book to a lot of people, Molly Jane mostly, and people have been pre-ordering different covers. Suddenly there's a whole bunch more covers, which is not a great way to unify communications across all channels.
But
to
here's
just suddenly a month later go, by the way, here's more covers.
Here's my favorite cover listing.
Uh-huh.
Todd McFarlane has a cover.
Yeah, glow in the dark.
Well, I mean, no, but I mean...
Okay.
So the regular cover
Okay.
is by Greg Capullo.
Okay.
And you know the image.
Yeah, it's Batman standing over like a busted up Spawn.
Right. And what would you call that cover?
Cover A.
Right. What's another name for it?
Main cover.
Main cover.
Sure.
So the cover they announced today,
Yes.
main cover B.
Okay.
That's not a thing.
It's not how it works.
It's cover B.
Alternate main cover. What?
And then the other ones are open order variants.
Yep, so many open order variants. Sean
Yeah,
Murphy.
but hold on. That's what main cover B is.
Technically, so is main cover A, but it's
Right,
they've
yeah,
used open order
fair.
variant for additional covers plenty of times.
I'm just...
Main cover B doesn't make any sense.
Main cover B doesn't make any sense, and it's insulting. It's not the main cover.
No.
Man, some of the cover... It's the same kind of thing with every slew of covers. I think there's some really good-looking covers. I think there's some less good-looking covers.
I just think the idea of trying to get stores to get new customers to pre-order, and then weeks after they've done that, releasing more options for them to order is incredibly stupid. It's a bad way to do it. I get that it's before FOCs, and that's fine for stores. It's not great for consumers to end up coming in 2 months and going, oh, I didn't know this cover was available. And it's like, well, no, because you ordered yours
When they
2
announced
weeks
it.
before they announced this Sean Murphy variant or this Todd McFarlane variant. Like, all of our pre-orders for all of those additional covers are going to be significantly lower, and our rack copies are probably going to reflect that. Like, I don't know if people are still going to want those, and I don't know if people who come in are going to say, oh, I would have wanted this other one instead and want to switch them out. And, we don't love doing that, but if it's going to keep somebody happy and keep them buying a $6 comic, we'll probably allow it. And then suddenly we don't have the right number of copies for different covers. And yeah, in general, I dislike releasing covers after initial order. I think it's a bad idea. It's actually something like Bad Idea would do. But this one in particular is like, you can't get this wrong. This is too big an outreach project.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is the comics industry outreach project for the end of 2022.
So then to have a sort of like rolling, imprecise explanation of the covers is really detrimental. I don't know why you would do it this way. I don't know why you wouldn't have everything available for the initial order to go, here you go, to give stores plenty of time to drum up orders, to reach out to new customers.
Especially since you announced this back in July,
Ridiculous.
and you waited 2 months to solicit.
Yeah, it's just so dumb.
3 months.
I really, really hate it. I mean, it's bad enough when they do things where it's like, hey, here's the 8 covers. Well, we're only going to show you 6. The other 2 we'll show you later on. It's like, at least there's a line item for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is just like, I don't know, more covers. Like, thanks. Thanks for nothing.
I'm glad you mentioned the Sean Murphy cover
Valuable
because
partner.
For as much as Sean Murphy is a very specific style of artist whose work works very, very, very well for certain kind of stories, the idea of Sean Murphy doing Spawn is something I never thought that it's like, oh, okay.
I'm sure he's done a Spawn variant before for Todd McFarlane. I'm sure of it. Probably for one of like the anniversary issues or something.
I was waiting for
one of the recent launches.
The Rob Liefeld variant.
Yeah, right. Maybe the Joe Quesada variant. He's doing covers for DC now. Did you read about that?
I did, and it was a very, very funny way to pitch it.
That was one way. I mean, Chip Zdarsky, you were talking about.
That's what I read.
The actual full announcement was
no. Here's how it happened, Al. Joe Quesada called Chip Zdarsky and said, "Hey, I think it'd be really great to draw Batman." And Chip goes, "Yeah, you're right," and then hangs up. Mm-hmm. And then Joe calls back and says, "No, I meant like me draw Batman." And Chip's like, "Oh yeah, that'd be funny, but oh well, you work for Marvel," and hangs up. Then Joe calls back again and says, "What if I quit Marvel?" And then Chip's like, "Oh yeah, I guess you could do something like that." And then Joe hung up. A week later, Joe Quesada quits Marvel, calls Chip Zdarsky and said, "I quit Marvel. Now I can draw Batman. Give me the book." And he's like, "What? Oh, I thought you meant like a cover or two. I can give you that. I can't give you the book. We've already got
Jorge
Jimenez, and he's great in the book. We're not, and we've got Mike Hawthorne doing a book. We don't want you, but I'll throw you some covers. But I quit Marvel for you. Well, you shouldn't have done that." And that is how Chip Zdarsky announced that Joe Quesada is doing some Batman covers.
That is one version of events. The other version is that Joe Quesada showed up to a Jim Lee panel at New York Comic Con to say, "Hey, I'm doing variant covers for DC in 2023, and here's the first 2 Batman ones I'm doing."
Yeah, they look good.
I think they look good.
They're Batman pinups.
I mean, I think they look better than some of the covers he was doing for Marvel before he left.
No, I think it's great.
And it's interesting because DC right now is in a very 90s nostalgia revival mode. I mean, they had a Wildcats panel this weekend, you know?
Oh, my goodness.
Did
anybody go?
Matt Rosenberg, and probably some other people. But they're also doing, like, the embossed foil variants and a lot of real specific 90s nostalgia stuff. And, I mean, to me, like, Joe Quesada drawing Batman stuff is a very 90s nostalgia thing.
Sure.
I don't know if that's, you know, on the level of, like, when Jim Lee came over to DC to draw Batman, but, like, I think it's pretty cool to see Joe Quesada draw Batman.
It's just too bad they couldn't have him do any sort of Azrael covers for the current series.
I'm sure they'll find a way eventually.
Yeah,
they probably have a lot of characters they want him to draw.
You know, to launch that miniseries that's out right now.
Yep, that launch already happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, and wow, are we very, very minimal on orders for that book.
Yeah, there didn't seem like there was a lot of interest for it. There's a few books recently that have launched out of the Batman Urban Legends stuff, or backups in other books, and they have not translated into sales at all. That Tim Drake Robin book, DOA.
Well, look, I don't think Riley Rossmo was the artist for that book.
I don't think that cover artist was the right cover artist for that book either.
Agreed.
It does not... Like, the most successful cover that we had off the shelves was the 1 year later Jorge Jimenez Robin cover. Like, the main cover people did not want to buy.
No, it's not a great cover. The book is fine. It fits well in the Batgirls, Nightwing kind of what they're doing with building, like, oh, Tim Drake is going off on his own. He's going to have his own place to live and his own supporting cast.
On the waterfront, and he has like a bunch of
got a houseboat
friends and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. He's got his boyfriend that they came out with in the Urban Legends book.
And he's got a sidekick from the I Am Robin stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pieces of it are not bad necessarily. It combines together for something that is completely missable. Like, nothing about it is like, wow, you've got to check this out. It's okay. It's cute, you know?
Yeah, like when they announced the Batgirls launch with Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad, I'm like, oh, I'll put that on my list. Okay. I did not put Robin. I mean, and I was reading the Damian Wayne Robin series.
Sure.
I did not put the Tim Drake Robin series on my list.
Yeah, it didn't seem like people were that interested in it for whatever reason. And it's weird because I thought with how much more prominence Tim Drake is getting in the actual monthly Batman book and how many older fans think of Tim as their Robin.
Yeah.
didn't amount to anything as far as sales go.
No, and we have a ton. Luckily, it's returnable.
Yeah, that's why we have a ton. If it had not been returnable, we would have ordered significantly fewer copies.
Yeah. Thank you to DC for still offering returnability.
That
on
is good.
Books, and to Boom and to Vault and to the few other publishers that give us
That actually bother
some
to help
options.
us sell some new series.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
You know, Dark Horse and Aftershock with Thresholds.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear where Mike Martz went? Mike Martz, who was in charge of Aftershock from the beginning, just left them recently to be announced in New York Comic Con, his new role in the comics industry. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Are you sitting down?
Yes.
So he left. Like, I think he was one of the driving forces behind Aftershock.
I always got that impression.
Yeah. So he left Aftershock, which I and I don't know the corporate structure or the ownership deal or...
I've never understood Aftershock because they're a comics publisher that seems geared towards like a pipeline to movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
And yet they've never had a movie or a TV
Yeah.
show that I can think of. Like it's like a media company that's missing the media part. Anyway.
So he left them to be the editor-in-chief for Mad Cave.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, people are excited that Mad Cave has paper cuts now.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
And to me, it just seems like a incredibly lateral move.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, what can you do at Mad Cave you couldn't do at Aftershock is my question.
I guess there's a bunch of companies like that, Mad Cave, Scout, that I don't think about at all. And I probably never will.
And you can add SourcePoint to that.
SourcePoint's definitely in there for
Yeah.
sure. I will never ever think about them. Like,
I'm not saying we don't carry their books. I'm saying we carry very few of their
we
books.
mostly don't carry their books.
And I don't know that that's going to... Even if with Mike Martz over at Mad Cave...
I don't expect it to change.
Yeah.
The market is way too full for
Way
us
too full.
to bother stocking stuff from companies like SourcePoint and Scout and Mad Cave that we don't necessarily care about or believe in. If someone we knew or were a fan of suddenly started working there and released a project, yeah, we'd absolutely give it a look. But for a lot of unknown talent, it's like, I can barely find space on the shelves for major publishers and proven talent. Like, unless it's a killer concept where I'm like, this is the smartest thing in the world,
And that's
I'm
not
probably
to say,
just going to skip it.
it's not like, that's not to say we're not going to take a chance on stuff we've never heard before. But Behemoth had a pretty big launch, and a lot of their books people seem to be interested in the beginning. And now
Sure.
Behemoth is Sumerian.
Yes, that's not confusing at all.
Well, the record label Sumerian bought them.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't help them at all.
I know.
So
I
dumb.
know. But, and that was the thing that, like, very quickly we learned, like, oh, we're not carrying most of these books anymore.
Yeah,
I hate that we live in a world where, if you look at properties, and I mean comics and TVs and what have you, slow burns don't make it anymore.
no,
They have to hit right out of the gate. And TV shows like the biggest TV shows of the last 20, 30 years would never have made it.
no. There's just too much competition now for people's attention and time.
Every time somebody says about a show, well, you know, it really gets better in season 2. Who's got that kind of time?
Yeah, I'm not going to get through season 1.
Yeah. And unfortunately, comics are like that. We talked a lot last week about the drop-off between issue 1s and issue 2s and beyond.
Sure.
But it's just that there is so much content
Yeah.
that it is impossible to wrap your head around. And now that it's New York Comic Con weekend, everybody's waiting, like, what are the big announcements? And when I was going to conventions as a youth, it was exciting because it was in advance of the previous catalog. You know, you were basically, the publisher presentations were just their solicitations, but there was no internet, so you didn't know what was
Sure.
coming out. Now it's like wrestling. Like, people are more excited about who's jumping ship and who's going to where
Sure.
than they are of what they do when they get there.
Yeah.
You want, like, who's going to debut next? Who's going? And that was historically that was the NWO's problem.
Yeah.
People just wanted to know who was in who's going to turn now, but they would never do anything when they turned.
Sure.
Anyway,
It's like the Bullet Club. You just get a new T-shirt.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. How's your Bullet Club T-shirt selling?
My Bullet Club T-shirt?
Yeah.
Not great.
Oh, all right. Should I put a link to it in the...
Yeah. It's a Bullet Club T-shirt where it's inside out, so
Yeah.
you can't see the logo.
Yeah. It's there. It's
It's
not-
there. It's inside out.
Yeah.
I don't like the Bullet Club shirts. I do own one though.
I do own a...
I have an Ace Austin Bullet Club shirt I bought from him at an AAW show.
Ace Austin is a very talented
He's
performer
a very talented wrestler,
and someone
he was,
who had personal tragedy, and we supported his GoFundMe.
and he was standing about 2.5 feet away from me, so I felt like I probably should buy a T-shirt.
Sure. Did he make it disappear or anything?
No,
Like, he's an amateur magician, right?
I did make a joke about like me keeping my eyes on my credit card as I gave it to him, so he didn't like hand me back like a playing card or something.
Yeah, sure. That's fair.
2
2 big AAW shows next weekend now. The Jim Lyman Classic, Friday and Saturday.
I don't know if I'm going to be at either one of those, unfortunately.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I got plans that Saturday, and that Friday I might be exhausted.
From those plans. Wait, no, they hadn't happened yet.
No, they haven't happened yet. For other reasons.
I own a shirt, a Shrektober shirt. And for those who don't know what Shrektober is, you must not be Facebook friends with Stuart Shrek, who currently works for Diamond Comics and is at New York Comic Con at the Diamond Select Toys booth.
Cool.
But he is also a former DC employee for, well, I don't know, 20 some odd years maybe.
Back when DC had employees that worked there that long.
He was a sales rep of ours in a previous life and in the early days of Challengers until we switched over to then Comic Suite and did not need a sales rep to place orders for us.
No.
There was a retailer who is fed up with Comic Suite and he was soliciting for everybody's favorite programs. And there were a bunch of us that chimed in about Managed Comics. But just today he revealed that Shopify is a no-go at his store, so he will not be. He'll be.
I wonder why.
He doesn't want to switch.
Okay.
He doesn't want to go to Shopify.
I mean, Shopify has a lot of structural problems.
Sure.
Nearly every month, we find some new thing that Shopify has either altered or just fundamentally doesn't do in a way where you're like, how are you a platform and you don't do this?
Let me give you one new one. When you save a cart for a subscriber,
Yes.
when you go back to the carts, it has removed their name.
Really?
So it shows saved cart and the stuff.
Huh.
So, for example, there was someone who we just saved cart on Wednesday, and I know what's in the cart for them, so I'm like, this is their order. But when you pull it up, it never loads their information. It says loading customer information, and it never does.
That's not good.
But the worst part is if you have multiple saved carts, you don't know whose is whose.
Yeah, it's tough.
So that is a new thing that
Cool.
we've noticed.
Cool.
One of the bigger Shopify drawbacks that is just wastes so much time for us is when you go into an item screen where you have multiple price points for a publisher, let's say.
Variants. It's called, in Shopify terminology, it's called a variant.
Yeah, I just didn't want to use variant because that's...
But it's just, I mean,
Yeah.
that's for people who might be using Shopify or used it before. It's, you would have an item like a t-shirt or like a Bullet Club t-shirt, and then a variant would be any number of different options. So a variant could be a size, it could be a color, it could be a cut, it could be whatever. For us, we'll have an item called like DC Comic for subscribers, and then the variants would be $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, $5.99,
etc., etc.
because that's currently how we have to ring up subscription stuff because
And
the tile is not working yet.
if somebody has, let's say, 4 $3.99 DC Comics, normally you would hit the $3.99 tile 4 times.
Yep.
They've turned that function off, so
For some reason.
no matter how many times you hit it, it only displays the one. And you have to go into the cart, go into that item, and change the quantity manually.
Yep.
And that slows everything down.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things for Shopify, it is a nuisance.
It's a random change that is for the worse.
Yeah. And that's on top of weird things recently where we'll reset Shopify POS for whatever reason, like we have to do an update or something isn't working correctly, and so we have to restart it. And then we go back to it. Shopify, there's 2 different, I'm trying to think of attributes an item can have. It can be active or it can be draft. Active means it is available on a sales channel, the point of sale system or the website or Facebook or whatever. Draft means it only exists for the managerial side. It's not available for any platform. It's just something you would have, like if you were working on an item listing, but you're not ready to put that item live yet, it would be a draft. All of our subscription books are draft items. All of our books on the shelves are active items. So if we have Gotham City Year 1, number 1, that'll be both an active item and a draft item. And active item and draft items can have the same barcode, because when you're ringing up something at point of sale, it's only going to surface active items. It doesn't surface draft items.
As it shouldn't.
So there won't be a conflict. It'll just find the active item and put it in there. What we found recently is that when we've restarted Shopify POS for other reasons, for about 15 to 30 minutes, it will surface draft items. And the first time this happened, we thought we fixed it by reinstalling Shopify POS, by completely deleting the app from our iPad and then reinstalling it. And this all takes time, and it means you can't ring anyone up in the meantime. And then it seemed like it fixed it. Then it would happen again, and it wouldn't fix it. It would still be surfacing it. And we'd get on Shopify support, and basically by the time we'd actually get a hold of someone and they'd start walking us through the early steps of the process that we'd already done, because this isn't our first day, it wouldn't be doing it anymore. And they'd look at our data from their end and go, okay, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
fine.
well, it's not doing it anymore, because again, it'll only do it for about 15 or 30 minutes. It's like, once we restart the program, I think it's more when we restart the iPad and then it restarts Shopify POS. What ends up happening is that it's like it doesn't know what it's finding in the database. It takes it 15 or 30 minutes to go through our database and go, okay, this is an active item, this is a draft item, or whatever. So in the meantime, every time we scan a book for someone who's buying it off the shelf, we get a prompt that says, do you mean the active item or the draft item? And it's like, well, we mean the active item. And this is the extra stupid part. When you say, okay, it's the active item, the screen doesn't go away. You not only have to hit it, you then have to cancel to make the screen go away.
Yep.
To get back to the cart.
And
like,
your first instinct is, oh, did I not hit it?
right. So you hit it a few times and you realize nothing's happening, and then you hit cancel, which cancel doesn't cancel the thing you just did. It just closes the little window you're on. So anyway, this is something that's been happening more often, and it's one more stupid pain in the ass with Shopify. And we've talked plenty of times about Managed Comics as far as our belief in the platform, and maybe the ways that it's not quite where we would expect it to have been, 10 months after we started using it. It's Shopify that's maybe more getting on my nerves lately, as far as like, I can't believe a company as big as Shopify puts so few resources into their point of sale platform and yet still keeps charging us so much for it.
Yep.
Like, if this were free, I'd be like, well, you get what you pay for. Instead, it's like, it's a chunk of change each month, and then they'll send us emails like, hey, you can do subscriptions in Shopify now. I'm like, wow, really? How do you do that? Oh, you buy a third-party app.
Yep.
Thanks?
The amount of third-party apps that we are buying now, like, I'll be honest, this new process, which the benefit of having everything available online is immeasurable.
Yeah.
But we're paying so much more in programs and fees than we were when we did everything through Diamond directly.
Yeah, well, and Octopus. I mean, it's kind of splitting the difference. Like,
I meant like pre-Octopus days.
oh, okay. Yeah, like,
I mean, I'm glad we're not paying for Octopus anymore,
No.
but that's just been replaced by
Shopify
other
POS and Shopify Pro and all of the Shopify apps that we have to use to make the platform not garbage. We complain a lot about Shopify, and we complain a little bit about Managed Comics. But the two things I want to mention as far as both of those go that are unbelievably positive are, for Managed Comics, the ways that we keep finding new subscribers and subscribers keep finding new things in the catalogs. It's absurd.
in the best way.
Yeah, the amount of people that are just suddenly like, people have been shopping with us for years and have been getting things like previews and have been giving us no notes as far as what they want, are suddenly like, I want all these Dynamite books. And it's like, we would not have ordered those.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us. We will get those for you. Absolutely. It's very easy to do. The downside, one of the little pet peeves that I'm having recently with Managed Comics, as far as the ways that it's bringing new subscribers in, the amount of people who will pre-order something and then completely ghost us when the book comes in is getting to be a big problem. We haven't had anything on the level of like a statue or something, But people who are just like getting 2 issues of 8 Billion Genies and then choosing shipping, and then we're like, here's your invoice, and then don't respond to us, and then we say, hey, here's your invoice again, and they don't respond to us, and then eventually we have to send them an email saying, hey, we're dropping you from the subscription service. Like, that's happening too often.
Yeah,
Like,
we have.
I would argue that for probably 30% of the people minimum who are signing up for subscriptions via Managed Comics, we end up putting their books back out. Like, that's a very high number. That's a way higher number than the percentage of people that we have to put back out if they came in and signed up for a subscription.
By that you mean people that we don't know who sign up, and we get an email and we say, oh, who is this person? Versus somebody who comes in and asks about the service, and we give them a QR code.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I don't know which is which necessarily. I don't see everybody who comes in, but 70% of the people are coming back for new books and adding other things and actually getting subscriptions and shopping in the store. 30% minimum, could be up to 50%, are doing things like pre-ordering individual issues or pre-ordering variant covers or pre-ordering 5 copies of the Amazing Spider-Man Facsimile Edition for #1. And then it's like, okay, we sent you a notification saying they'd come in, and then we never see them. And we don't have anything more than like an email address.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to like track them down. And that's a thing that I always hesitate to offer suggestions for how Managed Comics could improve when there is a top 3 bullet pointed thing of like, please do these first.
Yeah, exactly.
We needed these months ago. Don't listen to my suggestions right now.
And it's the kind of thing where you, as a programmer to Manage Comics, I would imagine, you just never thought of this because like the whole point of it is like, oh, people want these books, they want to sign up. You never thought about people who would sign up and then not.
And then 2 months later, either forget about it or ignore it.
Yeah, like why would that be a topic that you would think like, oh, how do we deal with that? Like that would never be on my radar.
I don't know that they have the bandwidth or the programming capability for this, considering I don't know what Shopify will allow them to do. But prepayment for these initial orders, like if you sign up for Managed Comics,
yeah, which I have, by the way.
I would like maybe some sort of flag on the inside. Like basically, I would like there to be a little screen where I approve people for Managed Comics as customers, not just as pre-orders, because you can subscribe to something without me ever seeing it. It's just a subscription. You're just there.
Right. Yeah.
I'll get a notification saying, hey, there's a new subscriber, but I'd like there to be like some sort of barrier of like, are they a subscriber yet? Can I do something about this? But even if that doesn't exist, if I get the email that says, hey, you have a new subscriber, you click that thing, you go to that consumer's page. That's a function that already exists in there. I would like there to be a thing where I flag on or off prepayment. Where basically if you pre-order or subscribe to something, with subscriptions it's just the next issue. So like Managed Comics should know what you are signed up for, issue payment-wise, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically just until I unflag it, you're prepay. You start coming in for that stuff,
we'll turn it off.
I unflag it, you're good to go. You have credit with us, essentially. But the amount of people who are just sort of finding the website, signing up for stuff, I don't know who they are. They've never come into the store. They've never bought anything. And suddenly it's like, now I have books coming in for them, and I don't know how to deal with that. And, yeah, that's starting to be a hassle. But 50 to 70% of people who are signing up are good folks, and they're people that we might not have reached ordinarily. And, you know, having Managed Comics available as part of our website is such a boon for something like Batman Spawn, because people can just go there and go to the subscriptions thing and go, oh, Batman Spawn, I want that.
Yeah, that's where, like, literally somebody today was asking, like, how can I pre-order stuff? I'm like, here you go. Here's a QR code. It'll take you right to it. There's videos that walk you through it. It's very easy.
And even the people who just sign up for, like, individual comics or whatever, that's fine for me, because that means, A, they know about the platform. So in the future, if there's something else, they know who to go to. They know where to get their stuff. B, it means they get the subscriber email each month that says, hey, there's new catalog stuff. So we're getting to market to them every month. And then on top of that, they're just in Shopify's database, so that when we have a store-wide sale, when we have a big event, we can market to them as well through that. So these are all great things that Managed Comics makes happen. For Shopify, just the fact that we have all of our inventory facing the consumer is so great. The amount of random people that will just get like a graphic novel or something, maybe it's out of print, maybe they just want a graphic novel or an action figure or whatever. And it's not, we're not Midtown. We're not DCBS or whatever. We are not focused on fulfillment. Like, that's not a huge part of our business. Right. But just that extra, couple $100 a week or whatever is a nice lift for us, So those are good things. We complain about those two platforms, but those are two good things.
When somebody comes in the store nowadays and says, yeah, I've got a book on hold, we need more information because there are currently 3, but actually 4 different ways things could be held.
It's true.
A, if you're a subscriber who gets things regularly.
Right. Then it's in your subscription spot. We go to your divider and we take your books out.
B, if it's just something you have on hold, meaning either A, you put it off the shelf and said, hey, can I get this
tomorrow?
Yeah. Or, hey, can you order this for me and I'll get it when it comes in.
Yeah.
Was I doing numbers or letters?
I always forget when I do that, so I don't know.
Roman numeral 3, the website. If you bought something online,
yes,
we have a website hold box, so that's a different thing. If it's something you've already paid for online, that's in a different box. But now we also have a small section for people who've signed up for individual books on Managed Comics, but not subscriptions.
Right.
People that just ask for a single issue or a one-shot or a special.
Yeah, so we're not going to make them a divider. We're not going to go through that whole process. Because currently they don't have anything more than one thing on order. If they actually sign up for a recurring subscription, Batman, for example, we'll make a divider for them because every month they're going to have a new issue coming out. But if it's just a series of individual orders, that's just going to go in the hold box. But yeah, those have to go in the hold box because they're not paid for yet. They don't go in the online orders box because
they haven't been paid for.
People might think they were paid for, and an employee might take those out and hand them to them, and it's like, no, that person still needs to get rung up.
Yeah, and it's difficult because
maybe what we'll do,
the people who are asking for their books don't understand the distinction, nor should they have to.
Right.
But they're like, yeah, I got a book on hold. I'm like, are you a subscriber, or did we call you, or did you buy it online?
Yeah. Let's get some more information. What we might end up doing is I might make a divider for the front of the first subscription box.
Yeah.
That just says, like, Managed Comics pre-orders. Do you know what I mean? Something like that.
What about that same thing, but at the end of the alphabet?
Whichever. I mean, as long as it's someplace where people can find it.
There's too much unnecessary stuff in the front of our first hold box, or club box anyway.
We should just get rid of a lot of that stuff.
I did while you were gone, and now it's full again.
Oh, no.
And you were gone, it was a month ago, Dow.
It was.
And I cleared out a ton of stuff. I made some pretty harsh judgment calls on stuff.
Good for you.
Like things like, we had that issue of Immortal Hulk that was anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. We had it put aside because we weren't going to sell it. We just threw them away.
Great.
Things like that.
Great.
Too many things like that. Yeah, but that's the story of every space that we have behind the counters or off the sales floor. Way too much stuff. We do a thing that I hate that we do, but we have no choice. We have mainly manga, but graphic novel overstock crammed in our back room.
I don't like it either.
I hate it, but there's no room for it.
Yep. What'll probably happen in the next few months is we'll probably start thinning out the manga section, making some of that discount just to get rid of it, just to clear up some space.
Yeah, I think we need to go through the red bookshelves and sidekicks and thin those out as well.
Okay.
Not because there's space issues, just to make it look better and to get stuff that's been there forever can go.
When you have books in there that we've had in stock longer than the children who have been buying books in there are old.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably a problem.
Things that we had before there was a sidekicks?
Yes.
They can go.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's just shelfware. Like, they just look bad at a certain point because, like, they've been moved around for 10 years, 15 years.
And this is a very important distinction and a job that is as hard to do as anything else we do. It's a two-part thing. The first part, which we do regularly, deciding what to carry. Obviously, that's a major role in what we do.
Sure.
But equally important is deciding when to stop carrying it.
Yeah, it's tough.
And single-issue comics, that's done weekly. But for graphic novels, it's not done often enough because you've been in the store. You see how many new graphic novels come out every week, dear listener. And we have to decide, are those annuals or perennials,
Sure.
do we carry it once, sell it, and move on, or do we want to stock it in case it's going to sell later? And then what happens if it is stocked until it sells later, and then it stops selling?
Right.
The number of books that come out every week, there's a finite amount of space in every store.
Sure.
So we need to curate in reverse.
Yeah, I mean, some of that is the market ends up self-correcting in some ways where books just go out of print. So there's a certain number of new books every week, and there's a certain number of books every week that when we try to reorder them, can't get them anymore. So some space starts to clear up that way.
Yeah, but that's stuff we want to carry and can't.
True. And there's other things that just, when we sell out of them, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, we would not restock that. We're not even going to check and see if it's available again. But yeah, certain sections fill up very, very quickly. Our young adult section is immediately overfilled. And that's a section that keeps growing as far as new books being put in it. And yet it's not necessarily a section we can give more space to, even if we had space, because it's not like it's selling that great, you know?
Yeah.
It's doing okay.
Also, somebody had a web order today with a book that I could not find.
Yeah.
I found it in the young adult section, but I didn't think to look for I Kill Giants there.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I eventually did, but that's after I exhausted everything else. I'm like,
Sure.
let me try this one last place.
Sure.
I mean, it's not like I looked in manga or
Right.
sidekicks,
Right.
but I'm like, it's not drama.
It used to be in sci-fi fantasy.
It's not sci-fi fantasy. It's not crime or horror.
No.
I looked at both of those just to be safe.
Sure.
Like, is it super? And then I'm like, oh wait, young adult.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Speaking of young adult, we were talking last week about the Giant Days Kickstarter from Boom Studios, and we got a very informative and polite email from Philip Sablik from Boom, and Philip's a great guy. We've hung out with Philip before. He's been to the store before. We're big fans of what he's done at Boom over the years, and his dedication to the craft and medium and industry of comics. The thing about Philip that's so great is that he is exponentially more professional in his job than I am.
Consummate professional.
Because reading his email, which is both complimentary towards the store and also very upbeat about the Giant Days Kickstarter, it was also kind of correcting us on like, hey, you guys, had said that you were wondering about, the availability of these things, and we do have a little FAQ on the Kickstarter that says like, yes, if you're a comic shop and you do want to carry some of this stuff in the Kickstarter, we're happy to fulfill that. Like, contact Boom at this email address, and we'll get you sorted out. And we had talked about that, I think.
Yeah, which I legitimately have done before
on
for the
Rangers.
Power Rangers, and so I knew that.
Yeah. And I didn't look into this for the Giant Days thing because honestly, like, if I was going to get it, I would just get it through the Kickstarter, and I don't need it right this second. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't like put out or anything. But the thing that was so great about it is that Philip, consummate professional, where from being in the industry for years, you can read between the lines just a little bit of like how kind he was to not start with like, "Hey, idiots, thank you for promoting the Kickstarter on your podcast by not knowing what you're talking about,
by not having read it,
by not reading the page that we've spent so much time answering these questions for people."
The thing you complain about regularly on your podcast.
By not reaching out to me with any questions, etc. Yeah, this podcast is one where I hope no one thinks that we are coming into this with well-researched talking points. We're genuinely just saying things.
Oh no, I think people know that.
So
oh no, it's not a secret.
If Philip was unaware of that, I would like Philip to know that it's not that we half-assed it and didn't do our jobs well. It's more that we're just not taking this podcast seriously, and I'm sorry it was detrimental, even briefly, to your Kickstarter and the professionalism of Boom Studios and the many people that work there and do a very good job.
I mean, seeing how well that Kickstarter
thank you, Philip,
doing,
for not calling us idiots like you probably wanted to.
I don't think that we are harming them.
No.
But I agree with everything you said about Philip, and one of my favorite things that Philip has ever done was he's a man who owns several Challengers t-shirts, and when there's a great, I don't know how often he met George Perez, but one of the last pictures he posted with him. He was in the original "I Love You But I've Chosen Comics" shirt.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a throwback.
Right? He was wearing that shirt when in his photo with George Perez, and I'm like, man, that's so great.
Gets around.
That's so great.
Gets around. But yeah, the one of the most interesting points
I should have Philip on the podcast.
You should.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting points that Philip had brought up in his email, gently correcting us, and rightly so, was that the library editions for Giant Days, if I read his email correctly, and Philip, I'm sure, will let me know if I did not, the new library editions are going to be available in comic shops. Did you get that same impression?
Oh, I don't read emails.
Oh, okay.
Dal, I can't hear really well.
I see.
And that affects, because I only read emails out loud.
Sure.
So I can't hear them right now.
Siri, read it louder.
Exactly.
So yeah, I will definitely be getting the library editions for myself through Diamond Comic Distributors or Simon & Schuster. And I'm sure we'll be stocking them in the store. They look great.
Oh man,
and the book is so good.
2 completely separate segues.
Sorry.
And I don't know which way to go. So it was.
Let's do both simultaneously.
Here's the choices.
Double segues.
Here's the choices. Great guys or getting stuff from somewhere.
Getting stuff from somewhere.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that's available to us from Scholastic.
Yes.
But I don't know if we're eligible for it because we do not have a Scholastic account.
Probably
because
not.
we're idiots and still don't have accounts for Scholastic or HarperCollins.
There was a window where we could have done an account for
we didn't.
Scholastic, and we didn't.
Right.
So now it's like, we'll see someday maybe.
Right. But I mean, is it even worth trying to pursue these promo items?
No.
I meant to ask this last week, but...
I think I know what you're talking about. I mean, they are cool and everything, but it's just... One of the problems that we have is that we have a very big section for younger readers' books, and we have a very large clientele of families and younger readers. We cannot seem to promote to them. Can't do it. Don't know why. We'll put up posters for stuff. We'll have like giveaway things. We'll have signings with younger
Two great guys.
creators. 2 great guys. And we cannot reach that audience. I don't know why. Like some of it I think is just the families that come in have very strict schedules. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
they're not coming in every week. They're not coming in every 2 weeks. They will come in on very specific days when there is time for the family to go in there and get books. And you could have Raina Telgemeier every day other than that, and they will not come in because that doesn't fit the schedule.
Yep.
But it is so frustrating to me continuously to have younger reader creators in and have them almost completely ignored. Like to not have any of the kids that have been coming in show up for that. I want us to fix that so badly, and I don't know how to do it.
So what Dal's talking about is this past Wednesday we had Dan and Jason in. Dan and Jason from Blueberry and Pancakes series of 4 hardcover kids books.
Yeah, that we've been carrying since day one.
And the 2-volume thus far Barb the Last Berserker hardcover series, which is, the same format and style of a Dogman or a Mayor Goodboy or a Investigators.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's closer in tone maybe to like some of the Jeffrey Brown stuff.
I said format.
Sure, but I'm just saying like for tone, like
Yeah.
to give people an idea of what the stories are like.
These 2 guys, we had never met before. We were offered them by their publicist because they were doing a school tour, and their publicist knows of our store and knows the kind of stuff we carry. And they said, hey, do you want Dan and Jason, who are supporting the new release of Barb the Last Berserker? And I said, the Blueberry and Pancakes guys? Yeah, for sure. So these 2 guys were so much fun, couldn't have been nicer, just so down to earth, and I really, really had a great time.
Yeah, the sweetest guys.
Talking around the store, giving them a tour we were doing. I had to leave early because I had to go see Sigrid and not hear her and barely see her. But anyway, we had a very minimal turnout, and it was disappointing because these are guys who we've been, like Dal said, we've been selling their work for years, and now we have these stack of signed Barb books.
Yeah, Barb 1 and 2, yeah.
And these amazing bookmarks.
Yeah.
They had we were emailed by their publicist saying, hey, do you want bookmarks for the event? And we said, I want bookmarks at all times.
Yeah.
That's our favorite giveaway thing. And their bookmarks were so great, I immediately said, these are the best bookmarks I've ever seen, and we make our own.
They're really great.
Yeah.
The little daggers. They're great.
And once Dan and Jason saw our bookmarks, they're like, we want to do one.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we've got the next, 2 designs in the can already,
do.
so we'll get to them in 2023 probably.
Yeah, but I want events like that to do well for a variety of reasons. One, just financially. I would like any event that we do to, be profitable, to sell a bunch of books. But I'd also like it to be successful because that means we can do bigger events with other people. If we have Dan and Jason in and we do great and their publisher's wow, that's a place that we want to send more of our artists to. We want to make sure that when we have creators in the Chicagoland area for a school tour or whatever, Challengers is where they go for a signing. That stuff feeds on itself and it creates bigger opportunities and it brings bigger artists to Challengers. But we can't do that if, 2 guys who are willing to give of their time end up walking away going yeah, the guys who worked there were great. That's not what we want. We want, we were super busy and we signed a bunch of books and we met a bunch of fans and it was huge. That's the stuff we want. And yet, for every good thing that Sidekicks can do, we've never really had a successful Sidekick signing. To my mind, ever. And we've had big names in. And yet, nobody ever shows up for them. I don't know how to fix that. Other than, basically telling every single parent, hey, we put a bookmark in the book. It's got our website on there. We do signings for young creators all the time. Please check it out. Please send it for email.
I wonder if it's worth it, and this means all extra work for me, to have a separate Sidekicks mailing list.
No.
To build one from scratch with, to any parents or kids who come in, and, weekly they'll get just the breakdown of all the all-ages books that have come out, and just the all-ages events.
Maybe. I mean, the problem is we would need more all-ages events, but we can't really have all-ages events because they don't really do well.
Right. But, I mean, stuff like Batman Day or Free Comic Book Day, that would count.
Sure. Yeah, it's a possibility.
Because with MailChimp, you could have multiple lists going at different times, And I'd always been talking about, since there's so few single-issue comics that are sidekicks,
right? Nowadays.
Yet we still have a sidekick section in the email, just making that, how we just recently broke out manga.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, breaking out all the kids' books.
Sure, but that means finding them all.
Yeah, no, I know. And again, that's, like I said, more work for me.
Very difficult when you're looking at some of these invoices to be what is this?
It means I have to look them all up.
Yeah.
And
sucks.
I would most likely err on the side of putting YA stuff in that as well.
Sure. That's fine.
For younger reader stuff. But, yeah, I think that...
maybe think about it. Some of the problem is just, we have people that shop at the store, and it's just, even when we give out flyers, it's it doesn't result in anything. And I mean, look, if I'm being honest, same thing for non-all ages signings and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that we've had creators in where it's 4 people showed up, and it's we've been promoting this in our email, we put a banner in the window, we put flyers on the counter, we stuffed them in bags. It doesn't matter. So I don't know why I'm expecting the kids' stuff to be any different. But I do.
I don't know. It's because it's the kind of stuff that you think makes the store more of an event, more of an experience.
Sure. And conversely, I think it makes the store look bad when we have creators in, and it's you guys sold 3 books. That sucks.
When a creator tells you...
That says that we don't know what we're doing, and you should not have shown up to the store.
Yeah, when a creator tells you half an hour into an event, it's okay if we don't sell a lot of stuff today. You feel like garbage.
Yeah. And we've about this before on the podcast. I don't want to waste anyone's time.
No, definitely not.
If someone is in from out of town and they spent 2 hours at our shop when they could have been at another shop, and then...
Or just doing something else.
Or just seeing Chicago or getting food or whatever. And it's we didn't make any money and they didn't really meet any fans. It's that sucks. We wasted your time. I can't give you that time back.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that's been any number of signings. That's not just, all ages creators that don't have a fan base turn out on a day at a time.
And look, if you are listening to this and there's signings that you haven't gone to because you didn't want to, fine. Those signings aren't for you. But if there's signings you wanted to go to and you didn't, you missed out.
Yeah, it's very... We run hot and cold on doing signings because for every time that we think like, yeah, this is going to be very fun to do, it's awesome to bring a creator like that to Chicago, and oh my god, the fans are going to turn out, we're going to get people from other stores who are going to want to meet them, and then nothing happens, and it's like, now we don't want to do those for 6 months. Like, we've long since passed the point of like flying somebody out because it's like that was never profitable. We lost money every time we were doing it.
Yeah.
We never figured out a way to monetize that in any way that made sense.
No.
And yeah, I mean, now it's at a point where like the signings that we have at Challengers are people in the neighborhood or people who are in town for an event anyway. And it's like, I would like to do more than that. I'd like to grow that. But in
remember we used to look through
years,
excitedly and say, should we ask this person? Should we ask this person?
in 15 years, we've never found a way to do that in a way that was sustainable financially. Never.
We literally, there was a well-known artist who we didn't have the opportunity to have a signing with when we thought we were going to earlier, who was in town again recently, and the question was posed like, oh, should we have them come in? And we both said, let's not waste their time.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Anyway, let's transition from that to talk about whatever total fucking jag put a band sticker on our front window directly over the word black in Black Lives Matter, our Black Lives window banner.
What band?
Yeah, you think I'm going to say?
I mean, I'd like people to know what band they should never, ever see.
It's some shitty local band no one's ever heard of.
Okay. I hope they know that they look like racists. That's cool.
So, and also, the positioning of it was not accidental.
Yeah. Big window.
So, it's also a cheaply made sticker, so it sticks real bad.
Great.
You've had experience in the last 2 days peeling stickers off of stuff.
I hate it.
So, because we have the anti-graffiti film on the windows, I can't use a knife.
No, because you'll just peel that.
Yeah.
You'll scrape that right off.
So, it took me quite a while
thanks
to get it off.
Thanks for doing it.
Hilariously, the entire time I was out there in the cold with no jacket, working on that sticker, it was when one of our Chicago police officer customers, who's a semi-regular, had just bought his Daredevil and Punisher comics. And he only wanted Daredevil because he heard it was crossing over to Punisher.
It is.
Sitting in his car reading those comics directly in front of that window the entire time I'm scrubbing that sticker off.
Nice.
And I felt that that was kind of ironic.
Uh-huh.
And while we're talking about interactions, these are a couple left over from last week I just didn't want to miss out on.
Oh, sure. Yes.
There was, and these are both from last Friday, there was a woman and her younger child who wanted to buy the new series, the then new series of Marvel Legends, which is now different than this week's new series of Marvel Legends.
Every week there's a new series.
Seems like it. And they were complaining about, they wanted a break, and they wanted to buy the full set, but they only wanted a break. And
A price break.
we're never giving you a price break because the markup on those is terrible. You've heard us say how terrible they are.
Oh my god.
So they said, well, what if we pay cash?
Doesn't
What?
change things.
What if we pay cash? No, there's still no discount. Okay. Oh, you know what? That was Saturday. That was last Saturday. Because it was Andrew who had to tell him 3 times, no, there's no discount.
No cash discount.
Well, what if we pay cash, then you don't charge us tax? No, we have to charge you. They asked me, I'm like, we legally have to charge you tax.
Yes.
Even if we don't charge you tax, we still have to pay the tax.
Yes.
That is how that works. That is a recorded sale. We have to pay the tax on that. There's no way we're not letting you pay tax. So they only bought 2 figures, right?
Right.
Fine. They came back a few hours later and bought the rest. And then the woman was startled by the amount of tax, and she wanted to know why the tax we charge is so much higher than where else she shops. And we said, what do you mean where else you shop? Well, it's so much higher than the grocery store. Well, yeah, because
There's different taxes for different things in the state. And additionally, there's currently like a tax abeyance, I think, for groceries until some point in the year.
It was just a month. It was over.
Is it?
It was
Okay.
just July. We keep getting emails like, hey, people are reporting these wrong. Well, we don't sell groceries, so we don't have to care.
Nope.
But one of the things I like about the Shopify receipts we give people is that it breaks down the 3 taxes you're
Here's
paying.
where your taxes go: city, state, county.
Yep. You see how it gets up to 10.25%.
Yeah.
So that is why our tax is that much.
Yes.
We are not overcharging people on taxes.
You are in Chicago, which is in Cook County, which is in Illinois.
Yep. Boom, boom, boom. And then this was from Friday. And again, this was last week when my ears were just starting to mess me up. And I had rung somebody up, and they said, oh, do you have the punch for the punch card? I'm like, excuse me? Do you have the punch for the punch card? I said, no, I'm sorry, we don't. And then they said, oh, well, can I just bring mine back later with the receipt and have you punch it then? And I looked at them very confused, and I said, sorry, we've never had a punch card system here. I don't know what you mean. We've never had a punch card. We have a stamp system for like Where's Waldo and your little passport. And then I think the person with them said, you're thinking of somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But I'm not entirely sure because I can't hear well. But that whole thing was like, what are you talking about? We've never...
Yeah.
If you have a Challenger's punch card, please bring it in. I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And
It would be
and
quite
how many punches have you gotten, and where have you gotten them in?
Yeah, please. Please and thank you. So those are just things that confused me last week that I wanted to talk about this week.
Sounds like a confusing week.
But again, huge thanks to Dan and Jason, who are just
Thanks,
a delight
guys.
to have in the store. They drew Barb and an abominable snow creature on top of the psychic sign.
Yep.
Did they have to get on a ladder?
Yes, I got the ladder out.
Okay. Because I saw how high that was, and I thought...
Yeah. They were like, we can just get like a stool or something. I'm like, no, I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you a ladder.
And they signed a ton of books, and were just a true delight, and we're very happy to know them as creators.
Yeah, Barb 1 and 2 are available on our website now. You can pick up copies. They're every copy we have is signed.
Neat.
I think they're definitely worth checking out as far as action adventure oriented younger readers books. And again, we have Blueberry and Pancakes, a 4-volume humor series that they worked on, and I think those are signed too.
Yes.
I think.
Yep. The last thing I wanted to mention was gospel. I mean, this is basically us preaching to people
Okay.
all week long, but specifically the upcoming Image book, Gospel.
I don't remember which one that is.
It's funny you say that because you read it weeks before I did, and you said, oh, this is great, you'll like it.
You did?
It is a fantasy series that's very Miyazaki inspired, and
I didn't read that one yet.
it is oh wow, you definitely talked it up on the podcast.
I mean, I like the preview pages,
Okay, sure.
but like I haven't read a promo PDF in like 2 months probably. I got a stack of them. I'm anxious that in the next few weeks things will open up in my schedule and I can actually start reading through some of them now that they've probably all come out.
Well,
Did you like it?
I did, and it's ironic because I had just read it, and then we got the creator email that was all like, hey, here's my book. Challengers has such a great reputation. I would love if you guys consider it being in the shelves.
I don't know that I saw that email. That's nice.
And you should have, because not only did we get it, but I responded, and then he responded back.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was a very specific to Challengers email, which
that's sweet.
a lot of times you get the email and it's like, oh, you're just using the Image mass email program.
Sure.
But this was like, Challengers such great reputation. I hope you consider it. And I said,
Do you know when Gospel FOCs?
I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll have to make sure we get the book.
So I said, I just read the book. I actually said we both read it because I thought you read it, but
I want to read it.
I just read the book. I really liked it. Excuse me. There's a line they have in the solicitation that I called out and said, I am using this line as the email header for that week because of how good this line is.
That's awesome.
And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it exactly.
Okay.
You know what? I won't even say it because I'm going to get it wrong,
And
I don't want
it right in the email to make people go, oh, I want that book.
Yeah, and attached in the email, they made a 2-page like teaser for the book, but it's all new art and story, just 2
great.
pages. It's like a medieval religious fantasy.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
but it specifically uses the word gospel because it's about telling stories and how they expound upon the truth.
Sure.
And how different reality actually is.
Sure.
And
how, like, history becomes parable, basically.
yeah, but also when everybody uses the devil to instill fear, but the devil is just a fable, what does the devil think of that?
Interesting.
And when I say devil, it's the most
Devil!
wonderfully Halloween-esque pagan representation.
Okay.
And it is it's the art's great, the story's great. And after I responded saying, hey, the book is a lot of fun and I love this quote, I'm going to use it, he came back with, honestly, this is one of the greatest emails anyone's ever sent me.
Aw.
And
Good work,
please, if you need anything else to promote the book, please let me know.
Dang.
If you want more art to show off to people, or I'm like, these 2 pages are more than enough.
Sure.
Like these, I've never seen someone do that.
Do we, I mean, I hate to make more work for someone that's not me. Do we have a way of sharing those images with our Twitter followers? Or
Yeah,
Instagram or something?
we're going to. It's just
Okay. I mean, like, if we're in the window of FOC, like the week where it's going to FOC.
Yeah, let me just tell you that I got all that stuff late last night.
Sure.
And I've been busy today.
No, I get it. I'm not, I don't want to make work for someone who's not me, but, like, if there is...
Yeah, well, I have every intention of doing that very thing.
Sweet.
Yeah,
You could also pass it off to someone else to do it.
Yeah, I could, but you passed off the... what did you specifically ask for in your Instagram post about Dan and Jason?
Oh, just show off that we've got copies of the books, that they're signed. I think that's probably it.
Okay, I thought you said to also show that they signed the wall.
I might have. I can't remember.
Okay, because they did, the post was like a signed book.
Okay.
Like, hey, here's the stacks of books. Here's one open and signed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where's the picture of the wall?
Sure.
Which is now on my phone.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, Dan and Jason are great. Gospel's a lot of fun. And I read a bunch of PDFs this week and don't remember most of them because I need to write down what I'm reading so I can talk about them later. Perhaps next week. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.